What's up, everybody? It is your boys at the Commanders Declassified. The Commanders just got off the field. They lost to the Carolina Panthers 23-21 and the preseason opener. The score is not the most important thing with preseason. You all know that. But we want to talk to you about what happened in the game, what's going on, what are our takeaways, and what we learned from today. So, Eric, real quick, give me your kind of 10-second thought on the game, please.
It's about what I expected. It's preseason football. Not it's sloppy, not great, but it was football, so we'll take it.
Brian, give me your thought on the game.
Some of the same problems we had last year plagued us at the very start, but it looks like the coaches kind of recognized that, made a some slight adjustments, but we've got work to do. We're not ready yet.
Yeah, it's early, but football is back on TV. It was enjoyable to watch. The uniforms look stellar. The helmets look great. And guess what? They were competitive all throughout the game. They didn't give up. I like to see that. I'm walking away with a positive from the game.
Yep.
Let's dive in a little deeper. Eric, let's talk Carson Wentz and his debut with the Commanders.
Carson Wentz started the game off. So he looked a little, I'd say, hesitant. He was playing a little of that Alex Smith ball early on, just taking the checkdowns, taking what was there. I got no problem with that. It's his first game action running this offense. He got a little gutsy later on. Started taking some deep shots. You can tell the timing isn't quite there. No turnovers, no ridiculously dumb plays. Don't think he took a sack. So overall, I'm fine with it. His performance obviously wasn't world changing, but for his first game action ever, in this offense, it could have been a lot worse. So I'm pleased with it.
Yeah, 10-13, 74 yards. 89.9 QB or quarterback rating, 5.7 yards per attempt. Not great, but like you said, he played within the offense of what was there. Carolina has a decent pass rush. No silly mistakes. We'll roll with that. Absolutely. Brian, what did you see from Sam Howell, who came in third of all the quarterbacks?
I saw confirmation of the arm talent. His arm talent is real. We had talked about it on this podcast, and he can make every throw. He looked actually really good in the short game. He was throwing some shorter passes, which is something I had a worry about. But he does need to kind of speed up his process. I think he took a little bit too long in the pocket, kind of going through some of his progressions. But it was nice to see him go through those progressions. And again, he delivers a catchable ball, and he delivers a ball with zip. So he looked good, but he's not ready for prime time just yet. He was going against number threes, 2s and 3s. So he does need more time to get himself acclimated to the speed of the game. And again, his process, I think, needs to get a little bit faster in terms of going through his progressions, getting the ball out. But when he does make up his mind, that ball comes out in a hurry. And he does have mobility. Something else I know we've talked about as well, too. He scrambled for that first touchdown of his. I think it was like 14 yards or something like that. So he does have mobility, and he can elude some of that pressure. So overall, I thought it was a good debut for him.
Yeah, the two things that stood out to me. Number one, he's one of those guys at this point, and we talked about this during the game, but amongst ourselves, he is evading a rush that isn't there in the pocket sometimes. That's going to take some work to get rid of it, and then sometimes he rushes too when he's in the pocket. So there's a few times he could just stay a little bit more patient, find a guy downfield, but it's hard to ignore the excitement that he brought to the field when he was out there. I mean, it's a world of difference. And I'm going to talk about Heineke, and to me, it's a little different than what Heineke brought to the field last year. Like Heineke brought, a little bit of excitement to the field, and it was cool, but there was really no thought that this guy could eventually develop into anything more than a backup, right? With Howell, you're still not sure. There might be some starter potential. So to see him put it together like that, it's very, very exciting. But Heineke, I thought he was okay. He threw one pick, and he almost threw a pick six. He made some plays with his legs. He was 4 of 9, 21 yards, and a pick, no sacks, a 12 rating overall. It's kind of the Heineke experience, and this is one of the down days. I'll be frank. I'm over the Heineke experience personally, especially now that you have somebody like Howell as a backup to Wentz. I don't see the purpose of Heineke. I am grateful for what he did for us. I wish him the best in everything he does. I just don't see what the purpose is at this point. You know what I'm saying? Because
No.
if Wentz goes down, you may as well just roll the dice and see what you got in Howell at this point, right? Because you're probably going to start over next year anyway, if you ask me. So, just to go through more games with Heineke kind of being what he is, the up and down, but really doesn't amount to much, I don't need it. But Eric, you disagree?
Yeah, I do. I think you need Heineke right now as a backup. He's a competent backup quarterback. I don't think, what Howell did today was fantastic. Just compare what Howell did to Matt Corral on the other side of the ball, who looked just like garbage. He was just lost the whole game.
Yeah.
Howell looked like he belonged on that field. He was the best player out there for most of the time that he was out there against the 2s and 3s, which is exactly what he should be, right? Like that's what you want to see. Of course, he's not ready to start. I don't think he's ready for NFL action against starters yet. So until he really is and shows that he's that guy, and if you say like if Wentz goes down, well, that depends. If Wentz goes down for 2 games, no, I don't want Sam Howell. If Wentz is out for the season, why not bring in Sam Howell? But for 2 games or 3 games, Heineke can hold it together for you. I think he can do that. He's in a position to do that at this point more than Sam Howell is. Although what Sam Howell did today was great, and this is what you want to build on. It's exactly what you wanted to see from him. I'm not ready to let Heineke go just yet, even though you know what you're going to get from him. But he is a competent backup quarterback, especially in this offense. So yeah, I keep him around until we know that Sam Howell is ready to go. And like I said, if Wentz is gone for the entire year, sure, because it's basically a lost season at that point. I'd rather roll with Sam Howell than Taylor Heineke at that point. But Heineke's still capable of holding it together for a game or 2.
Yeah, but
go ahead, to your point with Heineke, it was noticeable when he comes in the game, he kind of nullifies some of the strengths of our wide receivers, like Diami. Diami's strength is that vertical down the field, and he can't do that. And Diami looked fine, catching some of those intermediate routes and shorter routes, but it just kind of is so significant that the offense is limited. And with Hal, you do have that offense or that part of the offense open or available to you. So no, I'm with you. If Wentz isn't playing, let's look at Hal.
Yeah, and Eric, the thing with Heineke being a competent backup, that's great. But if Wentz is out for 2 games, you're still not winning both of those games with Heineke, right? I mean, just look at his numbers, right? He's a below 500 quarterback, so statistically, you might win one, but you're more likely going to lose both of them and have one be close. You know what I'm saying? So what's the point? Like if you're I know where you're going with that. I just at this point I'm like, let's just see what else the other kid has. And no, look, I am the furthest behind on the Howell train of all 3 of us, I think, because I still think that his potential is a long-term backup, but there's some excitement in there. And I can totally be convinced otherwise if he plays better against or plays like this against a higher level of competition. I'm failing personally to see the purpose of Heineke at this point, but I'm certainly open to your opinion on that. Jonathan Williams, the running back, just liked my tweet that said Jonathan Williams never gets his flowers, 6.2 yards per carry. He just shows up and succeeds. Let's go to the running backs with that. And I'm going to start with Gibson, okay? You guys know I'm captain of the Gibson fan club, whatever you want to call it. It's problem time now. Like, you're fumbling. So we talked about him fumbling in practice, and everybody said, "Oh well, the practice is where you make the mistakes, right?" No, you don't fumble in practice. And then he gets in the game. One of his first carries, what does he do? He puts the ball on the ground. This is year 3. This is year 3 for Gibson. That cannot happen, preseason or not. It cannot happen. You are not going to have any faith left in you by the coaching staff. Dude, he is getting so close to it's time to move on. And I hate saying that because the kid is so talented, but it's going to ultimately come back to taking a running back as a project in the 3rd round when running backs are a dime a dozen. You could have got somebody who was just effective and knew how to carry the ball, a la Brian Robinson. In the 5th round or 4th round. I mean, not Brian Robinson specifically, but you get what I'm trying to say. Just a competent running back, if that's what you were going to do. But Gibson is special. He has special traits and special ability. But putting that football on the ground is going to be a killer for him in his career in the NFL. I think it's time, or we're getting very, very close to time to make a change at the top of the depth chart. I'm not saying get rid of Gibson, I'm saying the kid needs to sit behind somebody until he takes care of that problem, because the NFL is a game of inches, man, and you can't be giving up turnovers and things like that. I think we've had enough of that. Eric, what do you think about Robinson out there today?
I like what I saw. He's a grinder. He, falls forward. He churns out yards. He didn't get a negative carry today. Most importantly, he holds onto the ball. He looks like he knows what he's doing out there. You can tell this guy, unlike Gibson, has been playing running back pretty much his whole life, and he knows what he's doing with the ball. He churned out. I don't know. I didn't really look at his numbers. They were pretty solid. Obviously, he scored the nice touchdown run. The offensive line blocked great for him. He had some huge holes to run through, but he kind of made his hole on that touchdown. He had to run through some arm tackles, which is exactly what you want to see. So yeah, in my mind, at least today, he moved ahead of Gibson because, as you said, fumbling, you can make mistakes in practice, but fumbling isn't a mistake that you make in practice. Like you can, as a quarterback, take a shot that you wouldn't normally take in a game to see if you can make it in practice. Fumbling that's a problem, because when you fumble, you're not securing the ball properly. There's no situation in football where you shouldn't secure the ball properly. So that's not like an experimental thing in practice. That's a problem. And Gibson needs to fix it. And he's going to get replaced if Robinson continues to look like that and he keeps putting the ball on the ground. It's going to be a no-brainer soon.
He is running out of chances. Robinson had 6 attempts, 26 yards, 4.3 yards per carry, and a touchdown. He had the 11-yard run. Jonathan Williams, 5 carries, 31 yards, 6.2 YPC, along the 13. Gibson, 4 carries, 2 yards, 0.5 average, long of 4. I mean, it's got to come together at some point, or we got to move on. I mean, running backs don't get 4 years to prove they can play. They just don't. So he's got to bring it together, and he's got to bring it together soon. Brian, what do you think about the rest of the running backs out there? I talked a little bit about Williams. We got Patterson. What do you got, man?
Yeah, so you already gave the stats on Williams. He ran hard and he ran with good vision, like we've seen him do in the limited carries he's gotten over the last couple of years. So he looked really solid. Jared Patterson, I was very surprised by. He looked a lot stronger. He ran more forcefully, more aggressively than what we saw of him last year. But again, ran with great vision, ran right behind his blockers, right to where the hole was, and tried to maximize what the play was blocked for. And I think that's something that a majority of the running backs, and you guys mentioned it with Gibson, kind of where he struggles is these other guys are getting the maximum out of that play, right? If the play's blocked for 8-9 yards, they're getting 8-9 yards. So it was good to see, that also goes along with these running backs. The offensive line opened up those holes. Our offensive line is capable of running the football on anybody, and the rest of the running backs did really well. So we've got some options when it comes to running back.
Brian, give me your running back depth chart if this was week 1, starting next week. How would you rank the depth chart?
J.D. McKissic is number 1, Brian Robinson 2, Antonio Gibson is 3, and then I would probably have to go with Jonathan Williams as the 4th option. I like him. He's a little bit bigger running back than Jared Patterson. I think he's a little bit faster and kind of makes a little bit quicker decisions when he hits the hole than Jared Patterson. But Brian Robinson, J.D. McKissic would be the guys who would get a lion's share of the carries, passes to running backs, and then I would go to Gibson.
I can dig it. Hit us with the O-line, Brian. What do you think about how they played today?
I thought they were good. They weren't great. I thought they were good. They're still missing Chase Roulier. They're missing Trey Turner. So I think there was a little confusion, early on with some penetration. But outside of that, they blocked really well. Again, our offensive lineman, John Matsko, does an excellent job with them. They can run the football on any defense. And we saw that last year. And, we saw it today as well, too. So they did a really good job. The holes were there for a running back. I think, they probably needed to, I think they were surprised at some of the speed in the pass game by the Panthers. So we've certainly got to shore that up. But they look solid, and they look like they're going to be a strength of the team moving forward.
Yeah, they were pretty impressive. So receivers real quick. I thought in general the receivers played well, not including the backs in the receiving game. McKissic got 1 catch for 15 yards. That was nice. I liked what I saw from Curtis Samuel. He had 2 catches, 14 yards on 2 targets. The thing I want to see from Samuel is a little bit more explosiveness. I'm not seeing that yet, but he is, getting open underneath and, catching the ball and making the plays that are there. But I just want to see him extend something a little bit. I thought Diami looked pretty good. Same thing, mostly underneath, 2 catches, 14 yards, 3 targets. He got hit on one of those, the catch that he didn't get, but he caught the other 2. I thought he looked good out there running his routes. I want to see him get targeted a little bit more. It's a preseason, make it happen. McLaurin, 1 catch for 16 yards. As Eric said, I think there's still that chemistry that's coming together, not fully together yet. I guess Erickson had 2 catches for 56 yards on 3 targets along of 40. I thought he was pretty decent. Dax Milne, 2 catches, 30 yards. He was the one that Heineke was targeting when it got picked off, I believe, which was just not a good throw. But I like the way that the receivers competed today. I really do. Nobody looked extremely special today, but I thought they were doing their job and getting open underneath, which looks like that was mostly the game plan that was there. The quarterbacks missed a little bit deep. But I like what I saw so far. No major complaints, no major high points, but no major complaints from the receiving group today. Eric, talk to us about the defensive line.
All right. I thought the starters looked pretty solid. The starting defensive line, especially in the pass rush, they were getting penetration, a nice push up the middle almost every single play. Montez Sweat was in the backfield almost the whole time. James Smith-Williams got back there. The starting defensive line looked pretty solid. Fidarian Mathis was pretty stout in the middle. As we already know, not much of a pass rusher. Didn't really see much from him, in that respect that I can recall anyway. Outside of that, though, I think they're going to struggle with depth in the middle, especially because, I don't remember calling too many guys. I saw David Beta make a play kind of late in the game, against Matt Corral, who didn't know what he was doing. So I don't know what to take from that. Defensive ends, again, Sweat and James Smith-Williams looked good. Behind them, I don't think like Rotimi, Tony, William Bradley King, none of those guys really distinguished themselves today. They were all just kind of there. Shaka Tony had the really dumb face mask penalty. That kept the drive going at the end of the game. So yeah, depth might be something to watch, but from the front 4 looked great, and I thought Fidarian was pretty good as well.
Yeah, I think all solid contributions across the board. I thought Payne looked great. I'm gonna be honest with you. There were a few times when he maybe got out of his gap, but I thought he was in the backfield a lot. He was forcing pressure. He made Baker do things he didn't want to do initially in the pocket. So I'll take it. You guys know I'm a huge Payne fan. Brian, you're going to talk to us about the linebackers, but real quick, you made a point I want you to hit on about third downs in this defense, especially early on when the starters were in. Kind of rehash that for me.
Yeah, so in the 2021 season, our defense on third down, we were dead last, and it was by a wide margin. Like, we were really, really bad. And what did we see to start this game? What we saw Baker Mayfield pick up third down after third down after third down. So we really kind of continued that trend of being bad on third down. And if you're a defense, you've got to be able to get off the field on third down if you want to be considered as a competent defense or eventually a really good defense. And we seem to still have not, kind of solved that issue, or I don't even know if we tried to address it because, judging by what they were doing today, it didn't look like really anything had changed in terms of the plan from last year. So, that was not good to see that we were still continuing to struggle on third down. Going into linebackers who do play a part, with this third down defense, I didn't notice too much from the linebackers. Jamin Davis, I think, made a play today. I saw Cole Holcomb make a couple of tackles, but they were very passive. I mean, they just kind of let any kind of receivers into their area. The runners, they seemed to be catching them and falling backwards when they made their tackles. There wasn't really any kind of aggressive nature to their play. And I just thought they were very kind of passive, submissive, really throughout the game. I mean, it was either the defensive line that made tackles or our secondary. I really didn't see a lot of activity from the linebackers. So, and then you get to David Mayo, who looked very, very lost in coverage. I mean, it was almost like Carolina was targeting him specifically when he came into the game over the middle. So it wasn't a good day for the linebackers, or at least not from what I was able to watch.
Yeah, I think this might be the fatal flaw in the season is this linebacking group. They got to figure this out fast. And like you said, Holcomb was around the ball like he always is, a little weak at the point of attack like he usually is. He tackles backwards. When he tackles, he goes backwards. But he makes the tackle, so that's fine. But it's just not stopping the carrier where you meet him at. Jameis had to play early, but there was just nothing else. And this two linebacker thing is really going to hurt us against good running teams. Period. Especially those that can get outside of our ends, like Philadelphia, like the Giants, things like that. So I hope they have a plan for this. I really do, and I didn't see much from that quote unquote Buffalo nickel situation either. So I think we're taking unnecessary risk by not addressing the position. To be frank with you guys, there needs to be more there. There truly needs to be more there. Hopefully they see that, they've identified that, and they do something about it. Eric, talk to us about the secondary.
Yeah, one name that really jumps out at me in secondary today was Steven Parker. That guy was everywhere. He played great. He was in the second half. He played really well at defensive back at corner. He had a couple of pass breakups. He made a couple of nice tackles. He really made a name for himself today because the second half DBs, they kind of all blend together. He's the one that really stood out. As far as the starters go, Bobby McCain had a really nice pass breakup in the end zone, broke up a touchdown pass. It was a really great job, good clean hit. William Jackson was there too, but McCain's the one that really made that play. I noticed the defensive backs and even the linebackers in this case really struggled with like those crossing kind of combo routes.
Yeah.
When their receivers were crossing each other, they didn't know what to do. They were getting lost, and that was a big part of the third down problem they had. And I don't know if that was just a thing of they were just kind of playing like base vanilla defense, or if there was something more to it. But they really struggled with it's like the NFL version of the pick and roll. They really struggled with the kind of pick plays and the crossing routes, and guys were running wide open. So that's something that they really need to clean up. And that's what happened on that touchdown that Fuller got beaten on. It was just a simple guy running across the field that everybody lost until he was in the back corner of the end zone. So, there's definitely some stuff to clean up there. I wish I had seen a little bit more, from I don't want to say, guys shouldn't be like picking off every play, but I wish I'd seen some more solid play from the secondary than I did, especially the starters. But, it's first preseason game, so we'll see where we go from here.
Yeah, Parker had a decent rookie season in Miami with 2 interceptions. Then I believe he played in Dallas. Didn't do a whole lot there, and we'll see what he can do here. But I was impressed by him as well.
And that kid they signed from the USFL that weighs 155 pounds. I don't know what his name is. You got to weigh more than 155 pounds to play defense in the NFL. That's all I'm going to say.
You know who I thought wasn't as great as I like this guy a lot, Jeremy Reeves. He had a bad penalty. In the game, and that kind of offsets anything else that he might have done. So
did have a sack.
He did.
Yeah, he did have a sack.
He did. I don't want to take that from him. He absolutely did. But just a team that has issues on third downs cannot have bad penalties because you're gonna just complicate that problem getting off the field on third downs and things like that. I don't know what down the penalty occurred. But third. Just in general, it was a third.
Kept the game going. Actually, It
cannot happen, man. Otherwise, I thought he was pretty decent. So just final thoughts on this game, Eric. Why don't you go first?
It's the first preseason game. There's only so much you can take. I love what I saw from Sam Howell. I look forward to seeing more of him. We were kind of talking about it during the game. I don't need to see Taylor Heineke for the rest of the preseason. I know what he's going to give us. I'm fine with his role on the team if, he's there if we need him. I just don't, I think preseason reps are for guys who really are trying to make a team or really trying to get a feel for what's going on. And in that respect, I think it should go straight from Carson Wentz to Sam Howell because they're both new in the offense and they both, have to get acclimated. Taylor Heineke has been running it as pretty much his whole NFL career. He's been, with Scott Turner or Nerve Turner or somebody. So I don't want to, no offense, Taylor. I don't want to cut you. I just don't want to see you in preseason. I don't think we need to. You're going to be fine if you have to get out there in the regular season. But yeah, I look forward to next week. This was not nearly as unwatchable as some preseason games are. So good on them.
Absolutely. Brian,
I
final
was dozing a little bit in the second half, though. Not going to lie.
It was a weird 1:00 start time.
Yeah.
I didn't love it. I did not love that. Brian, what do
Messes
you
with
got?
my nap time.
Yeah, the kind of the old problem still plagued us today, and that that's got to change. The slow starts, slow on offense, slow on defense, all of that has to change. Scott Turner's got to do a better job of getting the offense into a rhythm quickly. He started off just going passing, and what do you know? We just punted. When he started to mix it up again, the offense started to move. So he needs to do a better job of picking that up. And also just to think about those first couple of completions for Carson, they were all to, I think, Armani Rogers, the tight end. If we would have had Logan Thomas and John Bates, those could have potentially been much bigger plays, much more explosive plays with those two guys in there. So I think there is hope that, when we get these guys back healthy, the offense can really click. And then you've got Terry and Jahan as well, too, that's out there. So I'm excited. I thought this was okay. This was solid. Not great, but solid. And I think they've got a lot more work to do.
Yeah, I thought that the offense from Turner was a little unimaginative, but I do recognize it's a preseason game, so he's not going to put everything out there. I would love to see a lot more of Dotson involved in the offense. And you know what? But the guys competed. I love Doc Walker in the booth. Eric, I know you felt a little different, but I love Doc Walker in the booth,
Love
man.
I muted the game for the better part of the second half.
He was good, man.
I can only hear rip their face off so many times before I just go.
I thought, the Wentz to Rodgers thing was a little weird. Not in a bad sense, but I don't know if they were just forcing the ball to Rodgers to see what he has, or if that's just kind of Wentz and he just goes to tight ends and he exclusively.
I think he was just kind of taking what was there.
Yeah.
They showed the quarterback view on a couple of those passes, and everything was covered downfield. So it was his check down in many cases. It's just Rodgers is the fourth tight end on the roster, and he's the starter because everybody's hurt in front of him. So we'll see more as the preseason progresses, I think.
Yeah. So look, good first game. Don't read too much into it, but it was an enjoyable watch. And football's back. The Commanders are back. This was the first game in history, and I thought they represented themselves well for the most part. Last preseason, I thought they looked woefully unprepared. I didn't feel like that this year. So maybe there's some progress yet. Looking forward to the next game. Until next time, like, comment, subscribe, wherever you're listening to this on. Make sure you tell somebody about it, share it, grow it. Everybody overseas, peace. Everybody in their car, at their job, listen to this right now. We love you guys. And if you're watching this now, hit that subscribe button right below Eric on your screen. There should be a subscribe button. Make sure you hit that. We are out of here. Take command, right? Take command.